Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me is General Ravi Shankar. He's one of those few individuals that I can talk technology very comfortably with him. And this is going to be a little bit on the technological side, but very important because what we're going to discuss is something that will affect individuals who are trying to enter the armed forces. Doesn't matter which branch of the armed forces. General Ravi Shankar, Namaskar. Welcome to P Guru's channel.
Oh, thanks a lot. It's a great pleasure to interact directly, one to one, sitting next to each other rather than sitting across oceans. Shoot.
General Ravi Shankar, you've been one of the foremost in trying to identify plan is good, needs tweaks. This is talking about Agnipath and AGNIVEERS. And in this, somewhere the fundamental reason, there may be two. One is economic, the other one is the fact that worldwide the armies are getting smaller and they are becoming more techno-reliant, right? Can we say that?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Right. So, talk to us a little bit about, if there's an entrance procedure that is process that is followed. I'll give you an example. When I was trying to get into Air Force, I think, we were all called to come to Mysore. In Mysore, there was a whole set of drills, and there'll be systematic elimination. 30 gone first round, 20 gone second round, and then finally about half a dozen or a dozen will make it through. And in these things, there were things like there were some exams that you had to take. Thematic appreciation test. It'll show a boy standing by the side of a river, and then you are asked to say, "What do you want to say about this? Make a story." So they try to find out your frame of mind. And then there was math, and then there were some drills also, physical drills. You have to meet some specific requirements and things like that, some tests of reflexes. This is 40 years ago. Today's day and age, we have drones, we have other guided missiles. We have a lot of toys that are dangerous, that can set on fire communities, forget about individuals. So, in terms of how they examine you for your aptitude, do you think a change is required? And if yes, what kind of changes would you like to see?
Okay, let's put it this way. There's what you went through was for selection as an officer.
Yeah.
So for selection of an officer, the procedure is different. For selection of a soldier, the procedure is slightly different. For selection of the officer, the procedure which you went through, and I also went through at that time. After all, I also joined the National Defense Academy, right, way back in 72, 73, was the same. The difference is those tests have been upgraded to come to the present level, right? And similarly, the entrance for the soldiers was done in a particular manner where you tested his physical fitness, his medical fitness, and his aptitude, and then you selected him. That procedure also has not changed. The procedures have not changed drastically because those procedures are time-tested procedures. The methodology of executing those procedures have been upgraded over a period of time, consistent with technology. Now let me say, when you get an Agniveer or an officer, or even if it's a short service officer, or a normal cadet going to NDA or a direct commission, there are many methods. You do three basic things. One is you test him for his physical fitness. Second, you test him for his, educational fitness or an entrance-based exam and all that. And the third, you test him for his medical fitness. The medical fitness is very clear. Now there's no change to that, right? In fact, hardly any change. Either is medically fit or not, irrespective of technology. Now, as far as physical fitness is concerned, again, there's no change. You need that basic physical fitness, otherwise you don't go through. So what is left is the test. Okay, now look at it. A lot of technology has come into the armed forces. But so has technology changed, and the way people are taught in schools has changed. A lot of technology has come into school syllabus For example, what I learned in 10th standard and 11th standard mathematics, I couldn't teach the same 10th standard, 11th standard to my son. And why? Because the level of maths and everything had gone up by the time he came up for 12th, and probably today it would be even further. So the base technology with which you started appearing for these entrance exams has changed. So do you need to change the entrance exam? Because the entrance exam also have morphed along with the school syllabus. There is an inherent uptake in this whole story. And then when people, I'm now talking of officers still, when people are taken in as officers, the sum total of his entrance exam, because the marks he gets in the entrance exam and the marks he gets in his SSB, Services Selection Board, a combination of this, and I'm really not sure how the merit is made out, but a combination of all this is taken into account before a merit is drawn. So based on your merit, you're brought in, and technology is part of that. And it's not only technology. When you go through the SSB, you're tested for, like you said, a boy standing next to a river, right? And you thereafter describe whatever it is. Okay, it depends on how you want to describe it, and that gives out your psychology. So your psychology, your psychometry, your analytical capability, all those are taken into account, and that you get a mark and you get it. And since your uptake is pretty high as a, in your school level, you are there already. So that takes care of officers. Another question is of AGNIVEERS. AGNIVEERS, again, they have medical exam, they have a physical test, they have to pass the physical test, there's no marking, and they have to pass the, medical exam, and the merit comes only in the entrance exam. Okay, but a sum total of a person has to get through all these three to come there. And then you want to reach across to the villages. The village stock in India are very good. They are the best soldiering stock you get. You can't dilute that stock. Right? And an Agniveer or a soldier who enters service is not expected to do everything technologically great day one. He can be taught. He's very young, 16, 17, 18 years old, immediately after school. The same thing applies, logic applies, because that Agniveer, he comes pretty well trained in school with upgraded technology threshold for him to crack that entrance exam. Once that is done, because he is well trained, and mind you, the stock of soldiers coming today are far better trained, are more technologically savvy than the earlier lot. So you train them thereafter. So to that extent, I don't see a great change in the technological evaluation for Agniveers. But having said that, the army still does certain amount of entries for technology, especially for officers. They take people who are technically qualified. There's a tech entry, especially for engineers, the core of mechanical engineers and electronic and mechanical engineers, as also for signals. So qualified engineers are taken in, and qualified engineers based on disciplines are taken in. It's not as if it's taken out of the equation. But we don't do that for Agniveers. But what happens with Agniveers is, for example, a person who's had experience of driving outside. So you can take aptitude tests and, you can fast track his training methodology so that he can train as a driver faster, right? You can get better results out of him. That is feasible. I'm sure that will evolve with time. But having said that, there's a big difference between driving a vehicle on normal streets in India and driving a army vehicle or a gun convoy or a gun train in high altitudes or any place, or in deserts for that matter. They're completely different. Those skills you have to learn, and that comes out of experience. And when I joined the army, I knew how to drive. I used to drive my father's scooter and his car and everything. But yet, I had to relearn the whole lot because it's a different ball game when you have to, reverse a 3-ton, a long-bodied, heavy vehicle, right? These days you're talking of rear view mirrors on either side and all that. Olden days there was just one rear view mirror. Right? And a Shaktiman with a different set of gears altogether. The gearing was completely different. It was opposite. Right? Your first gear normally in India is like this.
Right.
In Shaktiman it was the other way around.
I see.
Right? And it had 6 gears. And that was a very powerful vehicle. Overpowered vehicle. And to drive that or even in reverse you needed skill. And that skill doesn't come by exams. You have to really learn. You have to be taught. And imagine that kind of a vehicle with a gun behind that. The whole story is about 10 meters long. The vehicle you're driving is 10 meters long. And you're driving it on marginal roads where there are overhangs. You go little off, it goes. Right? If you go too far to the right, at times it might
Half the
collapse.
neighborhood goes without supply.
So there are a lot of things. And you block a road out there with an accident, that's a different story altogether. They're all one-way roads and things like that. So, it's nice to talk of technology and entrance exams and all that, but technology at that level, has applied technology.
So what you're saying, if I understand you correctly, General, is that the training component when you are inducted into the armed forces, that is a significant portion. Whatever you've got your skills, you have something, you have the basic aptitude to probably learn good skills, and
you can't.
Then you need to do this. So that's why this 4 years is too short a time when you've invested so much.
You're right, completely right. I'll give you another example. Take the case of a 155mm gun.
Mm-hmm.
The 155mm gun, the shell, weighs 45 kgs.
Wow.
Okay? 45.
Seriously, I can't lift it.
No.
20, 25 I can manage.
45. It's 45 kg. Heavy weight, heavy lifting.
Two people lifted or one person lifted?
One.
Seriously?
Seriously, I've done it. Right? And I've done it right almost till I was 50, 60 years old. Okay, I've always done it. And all of us in the armed forces, if I'm a gunner, I should know every gun, I should know to operate, do every man's job.
Right.
Even now I can do many of these jobs blindfolded. And I am now 67. I'm confident of getting onto a gun, doing things blindfolded. That's the kind of a response which is built in through rigorous training. A new boy who comes, what you said is right. He is hardly 45 kgs. He's expected to lift a shell of 45 kgs.
We are not ants which can lift 6 times your body weight.
And he struggles. He is disoriented. He's come out from a village. He's come out from his happy, nice home where he's given idli sambar or paratas and dahi by his mother. And he's thrown into the rough and tumble of army life. He gets good food. Everything is good. But it's a culture shock. It's a psychological shock. I mean, you have to go through this to understand it. I've gone through it. I mean, maybe now I don't understand it also because it's now nearly 50 years back. Right? But when you go there, everything is different. You have to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, whether you like it or not. You have to hit the bed by 7:30, 8, 9. After that, you miss a lot of things. Slowly, that life is completely different till it comes back. Everything starts you normalizing in that life. Once you start normalizing, then you're okay, right? This normalization process for a Jawan takes about 4 to 5 years. I mean, again, get back to that gun detachment. That 45 kg shell, he has to lift and load and fire, right? The guy who is to load is different. The guy who actually fires is different. The guy who does all the settings and all is different because he is now tech. When you sit on top of the buffer's gun, you're dealing with the inertial system, you're dealing with sights, you're dealing with, a lot of high-tech stuff. This boy can't even go and touch it. And simultaneously you're firing. And you're firing against an enemy. Yeah, you're doing a lot of things by rote. And you're doing a lot of things which you don't understand. Because he's still a chap who's sitting, laying the gun in its right place to fire. He's not a technologist. He's just a well-trained guy who understands the functionality of the whole system. So for this chap to even load the gun will take him 2 years. Because when the gun fires, it shakes and a lot of sound comes out and all, which people hear, close their ears and all. Gunners don't, they just open their mouth and continue because it balances your eustachian canal and sound. If I have to stand behind a gun, I don't close my ears, I open my mouth, and if I can stand behind the gun, the sound is manageable. You will see Western, gunners, they put ear muffs and all that. Indians don't do that largely. We do it by fundamental ground level things. I've never put on ear muffs in my life ever. And I've fired all guns, and a lot of them. So this boy needs to be mothered through. To expect them to perform, from day one is like asking your baby to take part in a 100 meters race when he can't even crawl. So you have to take that time. That time is 3 to 4 years. Unfortunately, in this AGNIVEER system, in 3 to 4 years, he's out. So it takes time. That's why, we don't need to change the basic systems. You need to change the larger system which has been touched upon. And there's a lot of debate. We've done a lot of broadcasts on that.
See, every time I talk about this with you, I find something new. And these are all the things sometimes somebody who's making the decision needs to understand why people are saying that little bit longer is needed. I completely agree with you, especially 45 kilograms, my God, it floored me. It's it's difficult.
Oh, look, let me make it the situation even worse. When the ammunition comes, it comes in a package. And that package also weighs 12 kgs. Actually, when you handle, it's something like 56, 57 kgs.
Okay. Do you take any back reinforcement exercises?
Nothing. Okay, let me put it this way. We've all been fathers. When our child first came and you lifted him and you went around with him, you found your own back was troubling you. Right? And your arms felt tired. But slowly you got used to that weight. And even as he grew, you got used to that weight. Okay, and you would have experienced it as a grandfather also. I have. Okay, but you get used to it because your body takes it on. Similarly, you get used to the ammunition. 45 kg initially looks big, and mind you, that shell it's not simple. It's about 1 meter tall.
Oh, wow.
It's real heavy. And you need to carry it in a particular manner. And you have to check it, you have to prepare it. So, you have to take all these issues into consideration before we should have, before we've jumped into this scheme. If a thing ain't broken, you don't fix it. And what is your biggest asset in this whole game? Manpower.
Yeah.
And what is it that the Ukraine war has taught us? What is it that the Gaza war has taught us? What is that we are learning from what's happening in the South China Sea? That why is China not so good militarily? They don't have the manpower. Our biggest asset is the manpower. I won't say is the manpower. And we need to preserve it and fine-tune it. And for that, the AGNIVEER scheme, like I always told you, is not a bad scheme. Right? It's only that it's been fast-tracked without due thought process. Now that it has been modified, you modify it and ensure it meets your fundamentals and everything will be okay. Unfortunately, we did this on politics of AGNIVEER, if you remember.
Right.
After that also, I found a whole lot of people writing, various things. Uh, Politicians, academicians, and even armed forces people, naval officers, even two naval chiefs have written. I mean, a lot of pros and cons have come, but one central theme which comes through is that it needs a modification. On that, I don't think there's a second view, barring some die-hard fools who will not.
Right. Right.
So we need to change. If the government changes this, I think we are okay.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button and click on the all inside the bell option. By default, it will only do personalized. Sometimes that will not get you the notification. You need to click on the all button also. Thank you once again, sir. Namaskar.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure.